Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at some of the updated features we have added to our school finance and bookkeeping accounting template. These are what you can expect in this update. In this update, we've added ability to lock entries you've made in your school fees income entries area, in other incomes entries area, and also in the expense entries areas. We've also allowed for including discounts in percentages. We've allowed for importing name lists and outstanding balances. Now you can also print reports. You can print the timely balance sheets, the session end reports, the profit and loss reports, and the class by class payment summary. So let's look at it. I have the updated template open. Let me log in. Alright, we're logged in. So one of the things, the new changes we've made, if we head towards the bill sheet area, the bill sheet is where you develop the school bill. So what we have done here, we've added these new extra rows. This allows us to be able to enter discount items. So how does that work? From the area you have these sections, and normally before, what you will do is once you enter the amount, let's say for this class nursery 1, you enter the amount. It's going to apply for everybody, and then if I want to apply a discount based on the percentage, this will not be able to allow me to calculate a percentage easily. So we've included, let's say in an empty area, instead of having to put the amount, let me go to an empty area. Assuming I come here, I want to include a discount, a percentage discount. So instead of having it as an amount, I'll have it as a discount. I want to apply discount on perhaps the tuition, a 10% discount. So here you type in the percentage. So here is going to apply a 10% discount for all the children in this class for the amount, a 10% discount on the amount of the tuition. So the tuition is 35,000, so I think 10% will be a subtraction of 3,500. If I remove this, I just watch the bill updating. So you can see that it is moving by 3,500. So that was the percentage, and it will also add a bill parameter on your school, on the school bill, which will be called the discount on tuition. So if you go to the print page, you have it there as discount on tuition. And if I had selected a particular class we worked on nursery 1, okay, it won't appear because we have not sent it to the bill page. So let me send that to the bill page. So assuming this is okay, I will send this to the bill page for first term income page, sorry. So this is done. It will be sent to the income page. So if you go to the bill page and select nursery 1 and of course any of the students there, so you can see the discount on tuition has been represented as a bracketed amount, which means you're subtracting it from the total. So that's one of the new things we've added. You can also do the same for other types. Maybe you want it to be a scholarship. So instead of writing discount or tuition, what you can do, you just go back to the home page and just change. Let's see, you are going to let's add the scholarship. So how does this work? We'll go back to our bill page or bill sheet. Since we have already sent it to the bill, I'll delete this so that the scholarship will show. Since we have already sent it to the income page, so the heading there will now be scholarship instead. So this is how to change the bill parameter name. So it's going to be scholarship. So you can juggle around with it to see what's possible. So this is basically one of the changes we've made. Then one of the other changes we've included is ability to lock. Once you've entered data, you can actually lock what you've entered so that it can be changed. So how do we go about that? let's assume I enter an amount for 50,000 naira at a date of 2nd March 2024. And this was done by POS. So right now this is open. You can still edit this. So to log this, once you navigate out of the page and come back to it, it will no longer be editable. And now you need to be careful when you do this, because there's no provision for you to be able to change this after this has been done. So anytime you leave the page, it's going to, whatever new data you have entered, especially for the installment payment, it locks it in. You won't be able to change this value. So these are some of the new things we've added. Now for the meantime, you'll be able to change these values, not affected by leaving the page and coming back to the page. But you can also lock this as well if you're interested in locking this. What you can do to lock it is you go to the extreme right and select lock used cells and execute. So this will lock every cell area that has data. It can recognize data has been entered. So right now all this has been locked, but this will be open for editing because it doesn't find any item there. So all this will be open. That's not found any tuition build up there, so it's going to be able to use casually edit that. But every other area where it finds that there's a data has been entered, you won't be able to edit that again. And like I said, there's no provision for you to be able to change this once this has been done. So this area can only be locked by using that lock button, but the installment payments can be locked by just going out of the page and returning back to it. So one thing you can do, instead of, you can actually hide some of all these unused areas. So to hide that, so that it's easy for you to scroll to the installment payment area to enter the amounts paid, you can just use you can play around with these first 3 items. You can hide unused columns. Let's see what that does. So to hide all columns that have been unused. So what do you mean by unused? Column that doesn't have a bio parameter on it, so you're only left with the items that actually has a bio parameter. Or you can choose to hide all. Once you're done with entering all of the school fees build up for all the classes, you can choose to hide all. So that only shows you the outstanding balance column, total fees and total to pay, instead of having to scroll over all of the columns. Or you can just choose to return it back to unhide all. Once you unhide all, you can see all of your columns back again. So that's part of the new things we've added to this. There are other buttons you can choose to import name list. You can choose to export payment summary. That's the payment summary for first term. It used to be a button here, so we've included it here. And then manual calculate. Sometimes the program may be slow, so what you can do is to execute the manual calculate. The automatic calculate, once you're entering data, to be updating the calculations. Let's see what that does. So if I enter an amount, say let me enter amount here. Let's say there's a new payment, 45,000 naira by this child on the 3rd of 3rd 2024. So you can see that immediately it updated. Let me change this back to 40,000. So this is updating. That's what automatic. Once you're entering data, the Excel sheet is doing all of the calculations immediately. Every calculation in the Excel sheet. So sometimes if you have so much data, this may slow down the system. So what you can do to stop the calculation, Excel does automatically, just click on execute here. So Excel stops calculating automatically. So it allows you to be able to enter your data. This time around it will be much more faster because there are no calculations being done on the background. So you can enter other payments, and it's not going to, you can see it's not reflecting any changes. So this allows you to be able to enter data much more faster. Then to change to all to reverse back to the auto calculation, once you leave the page, it's going to reset itself, and then all the auto calculations will be back to normal. So once you enter it again, it will be back to normal. So the calculation works. So once you leave the page and come back to it, you'll be able to get some things working again. Like I said before, once you leave the page, this also locks, so be careful about that as well. This also locks. So those are some of the new things we've added to the template, the ability to lock the page. So this locking can also can be found in the other incomes area. This also is also locked. This also can lock once it sees that you have entered data into the cell, sufficient data into the cell, registration. I'm just adding a description. The amount is so this, once you've entered data, you can still edit it while you're still here, but the moment you leave the page and navigate back to it, you won't be able to edit that again. There's no provision made for you to be able to change it. So be careful when you're making your edits and when you're leaving the page. The only way you'll be able to stop this from happening is you want to retrieve this back, is you have to start it over again. If you don't save the document, if you close your file, don't save the documents and reopen it, so you'll find nothing there, so you have to retype that again. But once you've saved the document, there's nothing you'll be able to do to change this back to what it used to be. So in this page, you can also export the income and expense summary. So this is where you have all of the incomes and expenses tabulated like a balance sheet, so you see what's going on. It includes all of the incomes from school fees, other fees, and all of the expenses as have been entered into the template. I've already presented some examples of what that looks like, so do well to check on the description to find something like one of the samples of that. So this locks as well as for all the terms, and also the same happens for the expense area. So if you've made an expense, whatever description you give it and the amount. So once you leave the sheet, okay, let me enter. It doesn't matter where you enter the data. This is just for sample sake. So once this has been entered, be sure you're okay with it, and then once you exit the page, anytime you return back to that page, you can no longer edit. This is no longer editable. None of the those rows, that row, particular row which you've entered data into, will not be editable, but the others will be edited. You can still enter data into the other. So remember this, you cannot change this once this has been done. Now at the session area, this is where you can, of course, as before, you can export the summary of what have happened in the entire school year. So once you export this, it's going to show you the students' names, their classes, and their balances, and a remark to show if they are owing or they've paid or their money is completely. So this exported sheet is what you can import into your first term for the next session. This is what you can import from here. Import name list, so that it will import both the name, existing names, the existing classes, previous classes, and then the outstanding balances. What is important there is the names and the outstanding balance. You can re-edit the classes. That's for the next session, to update the children into the next upper level class. So once the outstanding has been entered and the names, so you'll be good to go to work with this for the next session. Of course, the P&L statement is still there, and this time you can export a summary of it. There's a class income analysis. This time around, you can export a summary of this. I've mentioned that before. You can export the balance sheet. Now in the receipt, we've made provision. Not only can you print with an A4 paper, you can also print with a thermal printer. So how does this work? Once I select a name, okay, let me select the class first. You have to select your class first. The class will determine the names in that class. I'll select the term. I'll select, okay, I'll just want to print for only one child, so this is going to appear empty. Let's print with the A4 printer. If I send this to print, so my A4 printer has printed this for me, so you can see it's only one print page that has appeared because the other print area was left empty. So this is an A4 paper printing. If I wanted to print double, you can put two names here. No, we have to select the class first, please. Select the class before you select the name, and then the term. I want to print for first term only. So it didn't find any payment for this particular child. Let me check someone else. Let me take the first names. That's where I entered some dummy amounts. Okay, so we found the payment here. So you can see it also writes the payment in words. So if I click this to printer as before, so we're using a OneNote printer. So it's going to display, this is an A4 paper size printer. Okay, so this is what is going to be printed out in your printer. So if you decide to use a thermal printer instead and send it to a printer, so this is what the thermal printer will generate for you. So if you have the two identified, so this will print them out in the same way. So these are some of the new additions of the new updates we've made to our existing template, and I hope this helps you in your full accounting process. Thank you very much for watching.